so impressive at the beginning that we did think, hey, this guy's going to break the 3,000 mark.
I know, he was that close. In knight f3, and we have a red.
We have a red, yes.
Will we be seeing a London, which has been popular?
Yeah, no, this is mine.
This is your specialty, the bishop g4 line.
Bishop g4 line, I do quite like it.
So you had a wonderful victory over a grandmaster from Romania, Michael Marin. That was very, very nicely done.
Yeah, it's a little trap there. It was a funny story to it because I played this line in a rapid play game in a tournament somewhere, and I'd lost very badly, and then I went and checked on the computer, and the computer suddenly goes, no.
You were doing well.
You were doing well if had I played this bishop before, and so I was absolutely shocked when my grandmaster played it, and I was like, okay, thank you.
There's some very interesting ideas in this line with queen e1, knight h4 to cage that bishop on h5, and then g4, f4. I've seen a game of Kramnik against Adiban in the Olympiad. Right. He completely crushed him. I did prepare that line for one of my games as well, so I know a little bit. But Fabiano is essaying a completely different plan with rook e1, supporting e4 again. Queen e2, queen f1 could potentially be a maneuver to get rid of that pin, and he's just going to try for an expansion on the king side. Perhaps e5, close the center, and then try for an attack on the king side.
Well, I always like the defensive power of the bishop on h5. Magnus's king will find real safety when that bishop drops back to g6, even with the absence of the knight on f6.
Yeah, it was quite very interesting for me as well. He's chosen to play c5 and knight c6.
Very aggressive setup.
Very aggressive setup. Normally it's more typical to see c6 and knight d7, more solid.
Solid.
Yes.
He's bracing for White's attack on the king side, and he's preparing his own expansion on the queen side. That's why he wants to have the pawn on c5, knight on c6, b5, b4, c4 is going to come, and he's just going to try to create his own counterplay on the other side.
But guys, this is almost a 30-40 second think there for Magnus.
Because he took on e4, that's a big decision.
A huge decision. And a quick recapture, d takes e4. Now, I've always liked these positions for White after the trade of d-pawn. The reason is the flexibility of the knight on d2. I often follow it up with the idea of c2, c3, and try to make claim to the c4 square with or without a2, a4. And this open d file, the strange part is, it's whoever ends up holding the d file, it often reverses. The other player ends up with the d file. So initially it could be that black plays queen d7, rook b8, but then White somehow manages to bring the rook on a1.
It's a very interesting, like you mentioned, you play c3 to c2, c3, and often I find as black, that's kind of, if it's going to be a race, like king side versus queen side, then playing c3 often gives black a little something to aim for, like putting a knight in d3. It's very...
If you get that wonderful maneuver, knight f6 to d7 to c5 to d3, then you're looking sporting, but it's a long way.
It is a long way, yes.
The other reason that I'm not a big fan of this trade by Magnus is that White can now use the e4, e5, and sometimes the knight slips behind the pawn. It's like in a jet stream, it goes knight e4, you get the g4 and the bishop.
So I go knight d7?
Knight e7.
Knight d7.
Knight d7, pardon me, yes, of course.
Force you to play g4, I would assume.
Right. Knight d7, g4, bishop drops back to g6, c3, and again,
well, actually, knight d7, knight c4 perhaps is a little bit more
knight c4, b5,
b5, we can
knight d6,
knight d6,
and is e5
knight takes c5, knight takes b5, queen takes d1, and then knight on f3 is hanging. So yes.
Sorry, do that line again. Knight
c4, b5, knight d6, knight takes c5, knight d takes e5, knight takes b5, queen takes d1.
And f3 is
and then the f3 is hanging. Yes.
Right, that's why it's likely that White is going to have to throw in g4. Okay, but g4, bishop g6, and the bishop, by the way, is beautifully placed on g6. Again, fantastic defensive piece, and it's eyeballing that c2 pawn. So g4, bishop back, c2, c3, c2, and it's going to be trench warfare going on.
Yes.
There's a knight of
But
squares.
somehow this knight on d2 is not that up. Knight
He's gone for this tactical line.
I think it's the only thing you can do, to be honest.
Yeah, if you were going to go c3, it's a bit... Black has very nice development.
Yeah, but again, it's these fight for these central squares, and for the moment, e5 pawn is cramping influence. Okay, besides this move b5, which may actually be quite good, there's also simple chess, knight b6. Because again, this, any queen trades was going to leave this pawn on c2
And
vulnerable.
what about queen c7? Just okay.
Knight b4.
Knight b4.
Knight b4.
No,
A
knight
third
Yes,
choice.
third choice, yeah.
Knight e3 is probably, or rook e, no, rook e2 doesn't, seems a bit loose. I think rook e2, knight takes e5 might actually be winning.
Yes.
Knight takes e5, queen takes d8, knight takes f3.
So knight e3.
Zwischenzug, very, very important Zwischenzug. Yes, I'm warming up very much to this knight b4 shot. This is awkward. You have to play knight e3, and now knight b6. And this bishop on g6 is suddenly really, the influence of that bishop is really very powerful.
White is just getting outplayed.
And now, two big issues. Again, the c2 pawn, knight takes e3, knight c2, forking white's rooks on the agenda. In addition, knight f4.
Yeah.
And you don't want to lose this g2 bishop in an open game. Rook d1 addresses both threats because after knight f4, white will drop back with his queen and with a tempo against the queen on d8. But still, knight
f4, queen c4.
Thank you, that clears the cobwebs, because otherwise I would move my queen. But now after knight f4, queen c4, Christian, your move puts the knight on f4 on pre. Okay, we need a good move for Magnus now. Queen c7, just get out of the way.
Just queen c7, get out of the way, and I'm
very attractive move. Okay, so let's do it. Queen c7, knight d5. If you recapture with a pawn to maintain the threat against c2, I have knight e1.
Yes.
And that could turn the table suddenly because...
Yeah. Queen c7 played.
We have seen queen c7, knight d5 looks box.
Knight takes d5. Yeah, I would... Knight...
Which has happened.
Knight takes
very
d5,
quickly.
and then I like the... And then my plan would be to double on the d line.
Right. A good plan.
A good plan.
Again, this move... I'm thinking about c3, but now I'm also attracted to c4.
c4, knight d4. I don't like giving that d4 square for knight. And then if you go bishop d3, I can still chase it with bishop e4.
Do it again. c4 for white?
Oh, c4 for white. I thought you meant c3, c4 for black.
No.
Yeah. a3. Okay, so he's still keeping c4 in reserve, but I was still curious. c4, knight b4, bishop f4, rook d8. c4 for black.
Yeah.
As expected.
But if you give c4, then I can... If white plays c4, then I think it's key to go knight b4, and then knight c6, and then I have a nice square
on d4.
On d4.
True that. Yes, indeed. So a3, but c4 by Magnus to prevent white playing c4, and the knight's permanently located on d5. Big choice there. Knight d4.
Yeah, this is...
Big fan of this move. I was thinking more like h3, h4 in that particular moment. Because now after rook d8, I find black's play to be quite easy. Like you say, double on the d5.
Double on the d line, yeah.
And if you provoke white to play c3, that's a surprising... I was going to say, if white is provoked into c3, bishop d3 is nice. But c3, by Magnus, b4. By the way, we have a big development going on in the rival. Let's go back to our tournament leader, Magnus.
We see that they're playing on seconds.
Rook. Yeah, it just seems that things have gone south here for white as Fabiano is staring down a pawn on d2. Magnus playing powerful chess, knight e3. c3.
Wait.
Queen. don't make the illegal move. And g4 is hanging with a check. The king has to come up. But for the moment, a lot of pieces are hanging. There's a knight on g4 or
The rook is hanging on d1.
Did he miss the fact that the king h3 attacks the knight also? Rook d4.
Rook d and g6.
That's a nice move.
It is.
Lock out the bishop, but only for one move.
Yeah, it may just be a temporary,
G5,
and it is
yeah.
g5.
Isn't this better for white? With two bishops, the king very safe on h3. That's...
Well,
the jury's up. As the players, I haven't seen the times, the clock.
well, it's
Looks
at
like
the bottom, so it's
there's
13
seconds for
there.
Magnus. 11, 10, 11 seconds. Uh-oh, we've just seen a
We're just
bad
seeing
move.
the black bar.
Yes. Oh, big time. Oh, Magnus walking into it. Huge tactical shot. He's just lost everything. Literally, the house.
From Nakamura, I think.
The house collapsed. And there we have...
Bad start for both our leaders.
Whoa. Opening the door for Alex Grishuk.
Grishuk, yeah, let's...
Wow.